All pre-season games are done and dusted, so in today's video I'll be revealing my locked-in team for Game Week 1. I've gone for Onana in the goalkeeper spot. As soon as Onana joined the game at 5 million, he went straight into my team and hasn't left since. I don't think there's any real standout goalkeeper this year in FPL, but Onana is a reasonable way into covering one of the best defences in the division, who also managed to keep the most clean sheets last season. United have a mixed run of fixtures, with a couple of home games against Wolves and Forest, but also a couple of tough matches against Arsenal and Spurs. I explained in my last draft video why I've decided to save 2.5 million by going for Ben Chilwell in place of Alexander-Arnold. Judging by how well Liverpool performed at the end of last season, I think we all expected Trent to continue playing an inverted fullback role. However, there's been times during pre-season where he slotted back in at right back. I'm just not sure if 8 million is worth it based on Liverpool's tough run of opening fixtures. I like the upside of Chilwell playing an advanced role down the left side of the pitch, especially given Chelsea's great set of fixtures across the first half a dozen game weeks. One player who made it into my first draft and has been in every one since is Saliba, and I just fancy him as an FPL option at the start of the season. I seem to remember Saliba leading the way in terms of points amongst defenders in FPL last season. He offers plenty of clean sheet potential as well as goal threat from set pieces, and I think he's well worth the 5 million price tag. Gabriel seems to be the favoured Arsenal defender amongst the community, but I think Saliba's more likely to pick up bonus points and less likely to pick up yellow cards, which is the main reason why I've opted for him out of the two. Another player who's remained in my team throughout pre-season is Pervis Estupiñán, and I think it's too much of a risk to go without him, especially across the first few weeks of the campaign. Brighton have recruited a number of players across the summer and strengthened numerous positions on the pitch. However, that left wing spot looks to be Estupiñán's for the foreseeable future. He picked up 1 goal and 7 assists in the Premier League last season, and I'd expect him to end this year on a similar tally. With over 50% ownership in FPL, I can see Estupiñán's price falling during the first period of the season, so that's just something to keep an eye on. Bruno Fernandes is a player who I'm not 100% convinced by, but his price point of 8.5 million does allow a lot of flexibility, especially if another mid-price midfielder option were to emerge. I think the key strengths of going with Bruno are: 1. He'll most likely always play the full 90, plus extended added on time. 2. He'll be on most set pieces, including penalties. And 3. United have a couple of decent home fixtures to begin with, so we should have a high point ceiling. It felt like Man United were harder to beat than they were at being prolific in attack last season, and I'd personally like to see more from their forward players this year. Yes, I'm going for a controversial pick for the armband in the first game week of the season, and that's Saka at home to Nottingham Forest. I'll almost certainly be hiding behind the sofa during the match between Man City and Burnley on Friday night, but I just have a feeling that City will only manage to score once or twice in that game. It's probably not sensible to go against Haaland for captaincy, but I can definitely see Arsenal putting 3 or 4 goals past Forest, and Saka will most likely be involved. In terms of a pick in general, I think that Saka is the standout midfielder at 8.5 million, and I can see him having another fantastic season for the Gunners. It's time to reveal my 6.5 million midfielder of choice, and I've decided to go for Moussa Diaby from Aston Villa. For the record, I think that each of the 6.5 million mids circling the FPL community are great for different reasons. I just think Aston Villa will be a fantastic side this year, and I fancy them to compete for 5th or 6th in the table come the end of the season. After spending all that money on him, it looks as though Diaby is going to slot straight into Villa's starting 11, and there's a high probability that he starts the season out of position up front alongside Watkins. However, it goes without saying that this is definitely a position in my team I'm open to changing. Gabriel Martinelli is someone I've decided to include here, because I still think he offers great value for money at 8 million. I'm not sure whether the injury to Jesus actually improves or weakens Martinelli's appeal as an FPL asset, but either way he should get plenty of minutes in the starting 11. Arsenal have some fantastic fixtures to kick off the season with, and the good thing about his price point is that I'm easily able to move sideways to a player like Maddison, Jota or Sterling if they were to get off to a good start. I always wanted triple Arsenal in my team, and I think that 2 midfielders with a defender is the best way to go. After a ridiculous run of 17 attacking returns in the second half of last season, Marcus Rashford made it into my very first draft and hasn't left since. I expect more of the same with Rashford this year, continuing to be Man United's main outlet to goals. With the addition of Højlund to the squad, Rashford will probably move back to his favoured left-wing position, and he's arguably more effective playing there, being able to cut in from wide positions and also hit teams on the counter-attack. United have a mixed bag of fixtures to begin with, but to me, they look like decent fixtures from an attacking point of view. I'm taking a big risk by not captaining Erling Haaland on the first day of the season, but I just don't think there'll be a big scoreline at Turf Moor. With that being said, I'm likely to give him the armband over the coming weeks, as Man City probably have the best set of fixtures of any team in the division to begin with. The other risk I've taken is not to include a second or even third City asset. I just personally don't see a player who's going to start regularly and get reliable returns, especially compared to the other options available to us. If I had to pick another player from City though, it would almost certainly be Stones. The other striker I included alongside Haaland during pre-season was Nkunku, but due to his recent injury I've instead decided to go for Ollie Watkins. I think the main reason why many of us ignored Watkins to begin with was down to Villa's fixtures. However, they proved towards the end of last season that they're capable of scoring against practically any side in the division. Whilst it might not look ideal to double up on Villa's attack against Newcastle, they did manage to put 4 goals past the Magpies at the end of last campaign, and more recently they put 3 past them in the summer series. His price point of 8 million also allows me to comfortably move to any forward that emerges as a decent option. For my bench goalkeeper I've decided on Areola, but I'm happy to fill this spot with Turner if he were to make the move to Forest and become their first choice keeper. My 4.5 million defender is Pinnock, who I think is a solid pick and provides good cover for me in Game Week 4 when Arsenal play United. I've gone for Bayer as my 4 mil defender. Yes, he blanks in Game Week 2, but that only means he'll have a double game week later down the line. I appreciate you guys in the comments, as I've decided to take on your advice by going for a lowly owned 4.5 million forward in Cauley Woodrow. Seeing as he's under 1% selected amongst FPL managers, he's unlikely to drop in value. So that's my locked-in team for Game Week 1. Let me know what you think about it down below in the comments, and if you haven't already done so, please make sure to join my FPL mini league. The link to do so will be in the description below.